Hi guys, Penny Mordaunt really should just stick to carrying swords because she's incapable of doing anything else. It seems she was taking questions on behalf of the Environment Secretary Therese Coffey, who couldn't be bothered to turn up to provide any answers. This is all following news this week that water companies in England have apologised for pumping raw sewage into the sea and waterways, but seem to want the British taxpayer to help foot the bill of the clean-up operation. Mordaunt was asked about this in the House of Commons and her reply was, socialism?
By Bedford.
Mr Speaker, I'm amazed that we're not having a statement from the Environment Secretary today, given the announcement from the water companies that they're issuing an apology for their appalling performance, discharging sewage into our rivers and our coastal areas, and then announcing that alongside that apology that the water bill payers are going to have to fork out £10 billion in order to put all of that right. Imagine if a garbage disposal company decided that it was cheap and quick to dump rubbish in the centre of our town centres, disrupting all of those businesses, or local authorities chose to dump it in swimming pools because it was cheap for them, disrupting people who want to take their families swimming. That's exactly what these water companies have been doing. In the coastal areas, they've been wrecking tourism in those seaside towns and stopping people swimming in our rivers. Now, this is totally intolerable, and now they're telling us to put all of this right, they're going to charge us all £10 billion. So when are we going to get a statement on that?
Well, I shall certainly make sure that the Secretary of State has heard his request for a statement, but I don't think what the Honourable Gentleman says is quite correct. The only way to end storm overflows and sewage going into our rivers and around our coast is to invest in infrastructure and upgrade that. Work has started. Now we have legislated every water company has to have that plan in place. They have to meet those targets. It is a shared cost, but I would give him some hope. We know where this is. Work has already been done in London, for example, with Thames Water, that the cost to the bill payer has not been great. And we've got to make this investment. It will be shared between bill payers, all of us, and those companies, and it needs to be done.
What an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace. So first of all, Therese Coffey couldn't be bothered to turn up to answer this. But the water companies who have been pumping raw sewage into rivers and the sea and waterways, who have been privatised for decades now, and have made hundreds of millions of pounds in profit and funneled that money not into upgrading the system but into the bank accounts of shareholders, are now putting out their hand and saying, yeah, you know, if you want us to fix this, we need some help. We need bill payers to compensate us, to help us carry the load. We've made huge amounts of money. We've given our CEOs massive bonuses and our executive massive bonuses. But, this upgrading of this system is really expensive. We could have implemented it over the last number of decades, but we decided actually it was better to hand our shareholders a dividend. And her response is, well, we all have to carry the load. These are supposed to be the capitalist party. The Tories are the ones who point the finger at the Labour Party and say, the socialists, we need to stop the socialists. We need to make sure that socialists never get into power. And she's asking ordinary people, taxpayers, bill payers, to help compensate a private company, a number of private companies. Incidentally, one of these private companies gave £16,000 to a Tory MP, Damien Green, to give advice or something like that. The corruption is like, how is it running through the Conservative Party like Blackpool through a stick of rock? Which brings on to another point. Why hasn't there been an impact assessment carried out on how this is affecting tourism in the United Kingdom, in England in particular? How much is this costing the taxpayer indirectly? How many businesses have closed down or have reduced their operations because of this? Like, people will say, you shouldn't nationalise the water companies because it would be very expensive. I think it's more expensive not to nationalise them, because at the moment all they're going to be issued is with fines, and if the fine is less than actually upgrading the system, then they're happy to pay the fine. These people need to be dragged in front of a court. They need to be put in prison. If you were to litter, throw rubbish in the street, throw rubbish in a river or a lake, you would be punished to a higher extent than these companies are. And they're pumping millions of litres on a daily basis into rivers and lakes around England and getting away with it. Nationalise these companies. Bring it back under public ownership. I think it's cheaper. It may be more expensive at the beginning, but this is affecting tourism, it's affecting public health. I think it's much cheaper to actually compensate these companies, close them down, and bring it under public ownership. But the fact that you have a Tory MP, a Tory minister, the leader of the House, suggesting that the public need to help compensate these companies is really taking the cake or taking the biscuit. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.